Good.
Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and I'm on Zoom right now with Bob Lindenmayer. Hey, Bob.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you again.
It is good to see you. So, how do I introduce you? All right, so I'll start officially and try to sound professional and say that Bob, you were the director and writer of Making Megaforce, which was submitted to Film Invasion Los Angeles as a feature documentary and took home some really wonderful awards. So at Film Invasion Los Angeles in June of this year, you took home the coveted Best in Fest for Best Feature Film. And as you know, it's first time that award ever went to a documentary.
Yeah.
I think juries sometimes are biased against giving like a Best in Fest type award to a doc, right? Normally you think it goes to a drama or this or that, but Making Megaforce it was just the best feature of the year. So I was so glad that you won that award. And then you also, your film got the Audience Award for Best Feature Film, also non-genre specific. Yeah. And then the Grand Jury Award for Best Supporting Performer in a Feature Film for Barry Bostwick. And admittedly, that was a debate, but the truth is, Barry is like the ultimate performer. He is the king of... He is absolutely there's not a moment, even though it's a documentary.
Yeah.
And even though he is being himself, he is still performing, right?
100%. That was the whole, yeah.
He might be the most entertaining motherfucker I've ever been in the same room with.
Yeah, he was like best supporting actor. I was like, well, Barry, it could have said only actor in my film.
Yeah. I felt okay because it's funny. We go with the word performer, so it's gender neutral. So I'm like, it's a performance. It's a performance in a documentary. So he got that. And also, your editor and producer, Felix Chamberlain, got the Grand Jury Award for Best Editing of a Feature Film.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'm curious what the analysis was on that. Was it just, oh my God, Bob's got so much crap going on here, it's amazing that somebody made sense.
I mean, needless to say, features are any feature that's good enough to get into the festival, because our ratio, I always talk the numbers, right? Like we get 700-800 films submitted, around 60 to 65 get into the festival, so it's already less than the top 10%. But the ratio of features, like, honestly, I'm blanking. It's too bad. But let's just say if like 1 out of every 30 shorts ends up in the festival, it's 1 out of every 50 features. The difficulty of making something that is engaging and entertaining and just quality cinema for 90 minutes plus is fucking difficult.
Yeah. It was insanity for
us.
Too.
And so any feature that's in the festival, I would argue, is wonderfully edited. But I mean, Making Megaforce clearly was not just wonderfully edited, but I mean, the entire story was the edit, right?
Yeah.
It's documentary.
Yeah,
documentary, I remember many documentary filmmakers pointing out that, because people talk about documentary and narrative as two branches of cinema. And all the documentary people are like, we're telling narratives.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, and that was, my conceit was not to, right. Obviously there's talking heads in it, but, I wanted, right. Like any kid who grew up in the 80s who wanted to make film and loved film, wants to make an action movie, right? I really, my intent was just to, put dramatic narrative, action comedy, conceits, applied through this documentary. Right. So, and that's why it kind of, halfway through, I don't know if going off the rails is the right word, but it definitely gets less documentary, right? The percentages start to slide. And that was, Felix and I working together, and Felix's honesty about how, right, he would always argue, he's like, Bob, you can't bring every toy on vacation with you, right? He was always saying, you know, like when your kids are getting in the car and they have like 20 stuffed animals, it's like, you can only bring 2. And we were constantly having that conversation about, you know, okay, like which one of these elements, because, you know, running around with Barry and the content of the, you know, the fantastic stories, ridiculous stories of the original production, you know, we were spoiled with riches, and it was really, I mean, there's some just great stuff from, and even to this day, it's like, well, maybe I could sneak that in there still, right? Because I did really want to have it all, you know, as being a you know, this was my first time directing and my first film. You know, you really have at least I did. It's like, this may be my only film, right? So I got to do everything, and I have to try like every little kind of, you know, whether it was a visual gag or working, you know, toying with the narrative to see how it could pay off and get an audience reaction and stuff like that. I just wanted to try everything. And to Felix's credit, he was always open to it, and he would cut it that way. Even sometimes knowing that, like, he knew it didn't work because he had the 5,000 foot view. And then our working relationship, me being mature enough to, you know, see it and be like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. Like, it doesn't work, right? Like, that's the other, you know, thing that, like, I was really, again, I'm going on, but like, this was this experiment. I'm such a cinema nerd, and I've been adjacent for my entire life in different things. And yeah, so I was trying to put my money where my mouth is. And part of that was a responsibility to, like, really be clear and honest with myself about what I was seeing for an audience, not something for me that I thought was neat. Right. Because I think, you know, I mean, even big commercial films, you can see them, you know, make the wrong choice around that sometimes.
Well, and okay, I think I'm going to latch onto that and segue because I was going to talk more about what makes the documentary Making Megaforce so compelling, but you actually did bring up that you were a lifelong movie fan of this and that. So why don't, and that it was your first film. So let's do the personal history thing.
Sure. Great.
Sounds, you know, good. Were you, I normally just ask, like, were you always a creative kid? Were you?
Yes, I was insanely creative. I was always a drawer. School for me was, you know, 6 hours of uninterrupted time that I could draw in class. You know, I careered in Algebra 1 all through high school. Because I was just drawing. I was always creating, and the, you know, I remember always being frustrated because I was born in 1969. So, right, I was sweet spot for, you know, the reinvention of cinema with Star Wars and all those guys. And the real tragedy about that period of time was you could buy as many Super 8 cameras as you wanted to at Value Village, but you could not buy film for them. Right.
And if you bought the film, then you had to ask parents to pay to develop it. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, we are literally, I'm 1 year older than you. So home video just didn't exist for us. No, it didn't. And, you know, when I guess I was in junior high, my first junior high school girlfriend, her dad worked at Sears in the audiovisual department, right? And he was a nerd, so he had one of the first over the shoulder camcorders, the big VHS ones, right? And we would just beg him to use it, and we'd go out in the woods and shoot our Raiders of the Lost Ark parody, or some vampire film and stuff like that. But what again, being a drawer and so into special effects and stuff, like,
you know, like all we could do is kind of pantomime that stuff with sticks and wires on video, you know, and set off some firecrackers. And luckily that camera had a slow motion setting on it. And, you know, and I was one of the, again, this may be too nerdy, but his camera was the really nice top end four-head system. So it had 4 independent channels of audio. Right. And so like I was so headstrong to actually finish a movie. And we made this like my first completed film because I've got 10,000 uncompleted films, was a Godzilla parody. I had a little pet mouse, and we'd basically make model sets and have him walk around, and we'd stick cheese in the Hot Wheels. So he would come over and right. And then we'd get the mouse out of the shot. We'd put a firecracker underneath it and blow the crap out of it. And, you know, and then the Air Force came in and he blows up a train, and that was it. Right. That was in, maybe 9th grade. But my language arts teacher was so thrilled by it that I actually got to show it in class, which was amazing. Oh, but my point was that 4-head system, right? Like if I wasn't so busy drawing my entire life, I may have been an engineer, because like I got how it worked, right? So when we were doing the movie, it's called John the Mouse, of course, original. But I realized with the 4-head system that we would have 4 turns of bat to add audio, and we were literally, you know, redubbing it, unfortunately redubbing the video part every time to burn in a new audio track. But we're doing needle drops from, you know, soundtracks of Star Wars or Raiders of the Lost Ark just to make this thing work. And yeah, and I continued monkeying around with that stuff. And then as I got, you know, again, once I was of the age to start tinkering with cars and stuff, I really got into that. And I took a pretty wide loop away from, you know, being a traditional artist, I guess, and really got into driving fast. And of course, all my cars were like had cool graphics on them and stuff like that. And then, I just knew I was always kind of shirking what I felt was my responsibility to do what was really important to me, and that you know, I'd been told all my life I had a gift for as far as being creative. And that was right when the Seattle Art Institute, or Art Institute of Seattle, had their first ever computer animation class, or, you know, program, I guess is the best word. And finally I was able to do animation, right? Like I was able to take, you know, almost like a Tim Burton-y kind of, right? Like I had full control, which is kind of what I wanted for these visions. And, you know, and so, yeah, as soon as like, I just stopped screwing off with cars and being kind of a hellion, signed on the dotted line, went into art school. And by this time that was probably 4 or 5 years out of high school. So like I knew exactly what I wanted to do, where sometimes, you know, right out of high school, you're just kind of burning money, right? So I just went in every day, said, give me the homework assignment. I'm going home because I built a computer that's twice as fast as anything here, and give me your phone number because I'm going to be calling you. Yeah, just that's all I did for 3 years. And out of that portfolio show at the end, I was the only one that got hired out of the show, and I got hired for Nintendo, which was freaking massive, right? So like I went from Grease Monkey to like, you know, like at the time, it's almost still the most money I've ever made at a time. Yeah, and doing that, I just wanted more and more. So vendors would come in to consult on video games we were working on. I'd be like, hey, what are you doing? Right? This was like pre-dot-com bubble. So I basically was working for 3 companies, 24/7, just art.
And you were, and just so I was trying to follow. So it was but and that was when this game system was Super NES or Super
N64,
NES.
the Nintendo 64.
Nintendo 64,
Yeah,
right. So
that's
that's
when it
really
was.
also when graphics started getting better.
Yeah, for sure. And I had the Rumble Pack and all that cool stuff.
And so you were specifically like just animating for that?
Yep. I
Doing
was
the artwork and animation?
animating characters, and
I mean, that must have been that's huge. I get it. That's huge. That's huge.
it was
And
huge. Yeah,
and that's what you did instead of college?
yeah.
That's well worth doing instead of college.
Yeah. It seemed to work out for me, and through there. Again, this is kind of like getting back to film or directing. Maybe like I was always the guy that got to do the cut scenes or the intro sequences, right? So like I really was, the guy behind the camera, like making it all cool. And yeah, and I've just kind of chased a career and had opportunities. Yeah, where that just keeps. That's why I say like kind of filmmaker adjacent, right? Like I've always been in scene making and had to get the camera A to B and make it pay off well and stuff like that. And so yeah, I did. I don't know, God, 14, 15 startup companies during that time, all different styles of animation. And of course that was back in the days. I don't know if you remember Flash, the program Flash.
I remember Flash. Macromedia Flash was huge.
Owned the internet.
Even I tried to learn it.
Yeah. It was the best and worst program ever. For like, I miss it so much.
Yeah, it would make laptops overheat, right?
Exactly. Oh yeah. It was smoking. Yeah, and I don't even remember a strange series of events. Again, I got hired at Hasbro Toys, which was, the like, I mean, it's like I don't want to brag. All these things just kind of happen, but they're, my big highlights, right? Like I got to work for Hasbro. I got to launch the Phantom Menace. I got to see all the toys and all this stuff like before. And at Hasbro back then, Hasbro was on the East Coast and they bought this company called Wizards of the Coast, which is a gaming company, right? So through my video games, I knew dudes who moved over to Wizards of the Coast. And Hasbro was so scared and so entrenched in kind of the old ways. They were scared of the internet still. So they hired 12 of us to work at Wizards of the Coast, which is in Seattle, to do all their online stuff. And they really had no idea. And again, Flash was there. So I was like, well, if we're doing a Transformers website, we definitely need to stop motion animate every Transformer in the line and put it right. So like, I mean, that was my job. I was like weeks at a time doing stop motion for every Transformer. And then I got to do like, I got to do My Little Pony, G.I. Joe. And I mean, Star Wars was huge. And this was back where they were putting my content on a CD and packaging it with toys at the same time. Right. So it was just amazing. And as technology got bigger and easier and stuff, Hasbro realized that like a templated infrastructure more for commerce as opposed to entertainment. And they kind of dissolved our division and took it all back there. So then I went back to doing, video games and model making. And again, I've got a really creative group of buddies. So I've had some like just really strange, it's like, oh, well, Bob can build stuff, like call him. Right. So I ended up doing, tons of movie props for this film called Prospect that came out. I don't know, God, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. Is Pedro Pascal's first film. It's kind of like Alien and Blade Runner, but it's about miners. So it's space miners. So Miner and his daughter go to savage land to claim blah, blah, blah. But I built all the props I shouldn't say all the props. I built many props. There was a great team of people. But I got to do some of the really cool stuff, like the force perspective miniatures of the spaceship and stuff, which again, like, you know, I always say, all I want to do is build spaceships when I grow up. Like if there's a job there somewhere, so if anybody's listening and they need somebody to build a spaceship for a job, that's what that's what I want to do. So,
that's
ultimately,
yeah.
Yeah. Like after, the video game industry is not kind to starting a family and coming home on time and making it to soccer games and stuff like that. So, eventually I got out of that big hustle and I just started to do freelance stuff again, like only picking kind of the cool stuff, and the rest of the time, as is reflected in my movie, like screwing with my kids, right? And actually being like a present dad. And then, as they got older, I started collaborating with this woman named Lisa Downs, who's done a couple of documentaries. She did Life After Flash. I think that's her biggest kind of hit, the story of Sam Jones and the 1980 movie Flash Gordon, which I love also, of course. So I horned my way in on that, and again, did her title sequences and some of her marketing campaigns. And I'm actually interviewed in that film. And that's when I met Barry and got to know him. And he had this scrapbook that his girlfriend was on set every day and just took pictures. And I was like, oh my God, I should make a coffee table book about this. And we actually, Barry and I shot teasers because we were going to crowdfund a Megaforce coffee table book. And my friend Lisa was like, Bob, like you're limiting yourself, right? It's like, why are you just doing a book? Like, you know how to do this stuff. And I was like, well, yeah, this seems like a perfect midlife crisis experiment. Let's just go for it. Right. And my wife bought me a camera and said, fucking do it. And I was like, okay. And, and then that's been the last, oh my God, 6-7 years of, because obviously I kind of overdid it. So.
Or you did it. There's a couple, man, I could say a million things, but I'm very proud of myself for not interrupting.
Cause that was good. You were really fidgeting. I was like, oh, should I?
No need.
I lose a thought.
I just have to. I have so many. You would fit right in with everyone I know, because I worked for years when I won't share. I don't. This is not about me, but I actually happened to work at like a major online toy wholesale and retail establishment that had a focus on Star Wars and sci-fi and stuff. And of course, we worked with Hasbro constantly. And I was there when Hasbro bought Wizards of the Coast because they wanted to get that Magic the Gathering money.
Yeah.
And literally, and working with Mattel and so I was the buyer, actually. My friends started this company and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So I just came on board and helped them and became the toy buyer. And then I ended up working for a toy company where I met all the sculptors designing all the toys.
Ooh, nice.
And every one of those creatives has your story where they were just so into it and they learned how to create. And I'm sure they did do some animation, but then they also did, the maquettes for animation and stuff. And
right.
And it was just beautiful artwork.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah,
but I don't think the average person who isn't deep into the nerd culture, as we call it, realizes that the same skill set that is designing a toy or a movie prop or doing animation, it really is kind of the same muscles. I mean, maybe not in animation as much, but really, most people have all those interests who are in that.
Yeah, well, and that's what's in our. I mean, it's today, if you go to school for video games, it's all really siloed, right? It's like you're a background person or you're a character guy and stuff like that, and And I think that's a real disadvantage to, you know, people who do want to get their hands into everything. You know, my advantage going to the Art Institute during, right, like they were making up the curriculum like 4 days before we would show up to class, right? So by the end, they were like, okay, next year we're going to get it all organized. You guys can basically pick enough credits to do what you want, right? And I remember I was like, all right, I'm doing audio engineering, I'm doing industrial design, I'm doing toy design, I'm doing automotive design, you know, and would have to go in and argue my point to why this would fit in the curriculum, right? And you know, and it was just as simple as, if you're making something in 3D in a computer, like you have to know what the back looks like. Right? And the only way you get that is to, you know, at least for me, to touch it and turn it around and, you know.
Yeah,
like
actually, I threw out the term maquette, and you knew what I meant. But for most people, a maquette is what animators create a physical, real life representation of Bugs Bunny, so that when they're drawing Bugs Bunny, they can turn it around on their desk and look at it different perspectives and things. So they're always drawing
the same thing,
the right thing. Yeah, maquette's basically a physical guideline.
Yeah, like even, you know, and it's something I excelled at, again, just from just watching and watching stuff, right? Like, you know, in the old days of computer animation, right? Like everything looked perfect. It's like, if you're doing an interior shot, you could not see the tree outside because the windows would be blown out if you had the exposure. And that line of thinking was only because I was so hands-on in like actually viewing what reality looks like, I guess, in a way that, you know, like I almost think, like, I hope that part is being taught nowadays, right? It's like, it doesn't like the perfection is what doesn't sell the image. And even going back to my movie, right? Like I did all the, I solely did all the special effects in my movie. And again, I think that, you know, they could have been done better, you know, if I hired a team or something, but at the same time, this was all me, right? Like it was just one of those things, like whether it was, you know, trying to direct or trying to do audio, it's like, no, I'm doing an effects sequence for a film. I know how to do it all. I need to see, like, I just need to see if I can do it. Right. And there's some scenes like in my film that, like, Felix and I had the biggest argument about, and I apologize for people who haven't seen it yet, but there's a scene where Barry and I are on pink and we're acting, we're silhouetting, you know, the scene I'm talking about. Like, we argued about that scene, you know, because like to Felix, it didn't quite make sense. And again, for me, it was like, I need to do everything. I need to actually do a dramatic scene with Barry, right? Like that is part of trying to be in Megaforce in every way humanly possible that I could be, even with my limited budget and resources. Right. So that was really kind of the cornerstone of, you know, learning through showing or whatever that is. Cause I felt like if I could show people what it took and they gave me enough goodwill to see me trying, like that maps directly to this bad film, right? Like emotionally it resonates. It's like, oh, they were just really trying and this is what they got. And that should be rewarded and celebrated because they fucking finished it, man. And nothing's been like it on film since. Right. So, like that was the real gift as far as when I went into it, that was my mission, was to kind of like through showing what it took, win hearts and minds. So the original film, wasn't just thrown under the bus as this crappy, cheesy movie. And then, of course, the part that goes sideways in it is realizing my relationship with Barry and just like, right, like I was trying to cut myself out of the movie for the and
Felix whispered that to me once. I think at the showing in Orange County, he was like, he didn't even want to be in it.
Yeah, I didn't, and he really, like, it wasn't a hard sell again because, like, I just wanted to do this right with the best of my abilities, and the most important thing is being a good listener and trusting your partners who you've collaborated with for a reason, right? And he's just like, man, like, people are gonna want to know about you, like who the hell is this guy who can do this, right? Like it means less for me to show up with like a dune buggy or whatever if there's no. Yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but obviously you get it. Like there's a toothiness to showing that. And if you didn't know who I was as like a human being, it takes the humanity out of it, right? Which is,
yeah, by getting right. Actually, the reason why, and this is an unfair joke for me to tell, but the reason why we could go all night right now is because my wife is a huge fan of your film. And normally when I'm doing a podcast at night, she's like, well, don't come in too late. And she's like, stay, I'll talk to Bob as long as you need to, because she has a sincere affection towards you from watching the film, both at home and at the theater. But what I wanted to ask was, and I might be projecting on you, but it's kind of funny. For me, sometimes I'll fall asleep with an earbud in my ear listening to podcasts, and then my own podcast will auto play like in Apple's list, and I wake up to the sound of my own voice, and I don't feel like I'm listening to me. I feel like I'm listening to someone else I'm listening to a conversation between two people, and it doesn't feel like me. And I'm wondering if for you, through the process of making the documentary, Making Megaforce, if like you were like, you did actually see the Bob on screen is like, I get it. Like, I want to get to know this guy better. I want to get to see the relationship with Barry. Like you did sort of, right?
Yeah, that was
Did it separate from you in a way?
It did. It took a while for sure. There was this point where Felix was like, okay, well, we have to know about your parents' divorce, right? Because that was, the kind of the counterpoint to Megaforce at the time. And of course I'm shooting all this stuff by myself, right? So like it took me all day, right? Like I couldn't even get the words out. Like I was like kind of sing-songy. Well, that was the year my parents, right? Like I literally couldn't get it out. And as being like, that was pretty amazing actually, right? Like kind of self-reflection. It's like, okay, like, that means like, this is the truth, right? So I need to fucking do it. Right. And I finally got it. I had to call Felix. He walked me through it. And like, it was a weird sort of bravery that you don't necessarily get from being behind the camera.
Well, and for you, and I mean, this is boiling down to the fact that you saw this movie at age 13-ish when your parents' marriage was ending. And like, and I mean, was that part of the realization? Like, were you aware of the impact that Megaforce hit you at that, or was it through making the film that you realized, I needed escape from a home, and this gave me a wonderful escape?
It was right. Like as a kid, you're just reacting, and I'm a big fan of, therapy and figuring out how to be a better person. So yeah, like it was kind of a lightning strike where it was like, oh my God, like that was the same summer. And it came from, again, watching myself on screen chasing Barry around like a puppy dog, right? I really knew the void of losing my dad at that age that created in my life. And again, like,
Yeah, because critically, it wasn't just a divorce; it was dad bolted.
yeah, yeah,
Dad
well,
moved on.
yeah,
You didn't see a lot of him.
yeah, no, it was classic 80s divorce, like on an after school special. It was not pleasant for anybody involved, for sure. Yeah, so it was, again, that's why I was trying to kind of cut myself out of the, like every time I was just like, oh my God, Bob, you're so desperate for a dad. Look, you're just trying to make Barry like you and show off. And then I was just like, oh my God. Right. And that's Megaforce, and that's it was the same summer. And it's like, is that why I like Megaforce? Like, because at the time, it wasn't like, oh my God, Barry's going to be Ace Hunter is my new dad, but he was, all those films were, which is why film is such a gift to people, right? Like all those guys were my dads.
Well, and it was a scale. I hope this comes across as empathetically as I want it to. I won the parents' lottery. My parents actually loved each other, like all the way for 50 something years until the end.
Amazing.
And I noticed, and I'm a nerd, and I noticed that all my nerd friends I came to a decision, which is there were two types of Star Wars fans. And the ones who were really into it, their parents split.
Yeah, isn't that
And the ones like me who liked it but wanted it to be better, like I was one of those, like, why can't it do it? Why? Like I was like I was already complaining when Jedi came out, right? So whereas
we were of the age when Jedi came out.
the one super into the soap opera of it all, I was like, I finally realized that every one of my friends who was like way more into Star Wars than I was and way more into the lore of it, their parents had split around the time yours did. Really, because that's when that's and so I really just kind of like I said it to a friend once. I'm like, it's the broken home, man. Like it was it was the 70s. It was the mid to late 70s, and family structures in our culture were dying. And when when your parents break up, the world you live in is breaking up. Yeah. And then when you go to the movies and you see a whole different universe, that is a wonderful place to spend time. And I didn't need it as much as my other friends. So.
That makes a lot of sense. I think you're spot on with that. That's great insight.
I mean, yeah. I just noticed it over and over with all because I am well versed in. I've just been around artistic, sensitive. I don't. Maybe I should narrow it down to artistic, sensitive people. But but maybe if I was friends, if I'd been on the high school football team, I would have learned that all my high school football friends whose parents split were also secretly into Star Wars. I don't know, but
yeah.
But for sure, if you were a sensitive person, science fiction in general and Star Wars and a film like Megaforce were just escapism was essential to survival.
Yeah, and I mean, like I think to that point, if I think back, right, like those kind of films weren't like mainstream. Like geek is acceptable now is the shorthand, and back then, like you still. It was, at least for me, it was just really important to feel special, and in a way. All those movies were so powerful back then. Like it was like they were for me or the gifts that those films were giving me were mine and mine alone. And I'm really fortunate as an adult now that like I didn't lose that part, because that part can, Peter Pan away and stuff like that. And I mean, Megaforce specifically, because it was such an ugly duckling back then, culturally, right? Like you couldn't really bond with your friends about it because nobody else had seen it.
Yeah, they only had a weekend or two to catch it, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm interrupting because
Yeah.
I realized in the introduction, I didn't really make it clear until this moment that Making Megaforce is a documentary about the really just the action thriller Megaforce that was Mattel's attempt to have a toy line out of a movie, just like they saw Kenner or Hasbro get Star Wars money.
Exactly.
And you've cleverly at the top of your movie poster said, the documentary that no one was asking for, because you made a documentary about a film that a lot of people considered one of the biggest flops of the 80s.
100%. Yeah. Exactly.
and yet the documentary makes people like myself and my wife who have never even I don't think I didn't remember even hearing of Megaforce, honestly, as an LA San Fernando Valley kid.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was showing for one weekend. I'm sure some of my nerd friends would know it. In fact, I did tell a college roommate about your film, and he could name the actress who played the alien in Star Wars, the first Star Wars the motion picture.
Right.
Who would talk about V'ger or whatever.
Oh yeah, Persis Kamada.
Yes, he could name her, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, she did Megaforce after Star Trek," and I was like, "Oh my god, see, that's the kind of friend I have."
Excellent, those are good friends to have. Yeah,
they are. But so anyway, so that lays the groundwork for anyone who is wondering what we're talking about. That documentary is about.
Here, and again, yeah.
But interestingly, you did something really smart with the documentary, which is I learned early in this conversation that you actually did meet Barry earlier and saw the scrapbook, and you guys were talking about working on a book or something, and then you shifted to movie. So even though, because the documentary does sort of present it like you're pursuing Barry,
yes,
for the movie, but that was just a really smart way to introduce it, I guess.
Yeah. No, that was the choice we had. Originally, again, that's why I don't know if all documentaries are like this. Like I was treating it like a film. And again, back to your point about, this is closing the loop on me deciding to actually be in my movie was, like looking at the Bob on camera as a character, and not as me. Right. And I think that's probably like an page one of acting, like separating yourself there. And I just kind of had to wing it and crash into it. And there was a lot of talk about like, okay, well, like plot point wise, if this were a dramatic film, it's like, will Bob or will he meet Barry, and what will happen? And the stakes there. And we didn't want to, we created a cut where it was very narrative, real stakes, which didn't feel as honest as, the way we presented it, which was, because Barry and I weren't really buddies. That first LA Comic-Con that I show in the film, that was the first time I had spent more than 2 hours with him. And maybe the fourth time I had ever seen him. So again, it was, it was.
So you didn't bond during the book era. You weren't close then, but the book era was before that.
Yeah. By like a couple months.
Right. So you were he was right. Because I was about to say, like, Barry did a pretty good job in the documentary of slowly accepting you. Yes. But he was still in that process, actually.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Like the first couple of years were so so crazy. Like there's this, yeah, no, I could go on about story. Like he'd be like, he would call me and be like, these guys from France are coming in 2 days to interview me about Megaforce, and I know nothing about it. Can you come down here and like feed me lines? And when he did that, I was like, okay, like now we're buddies and we're kind of off to the races. Because like he was willing to play along, and you know, like lots of people like ask him all the time, like why, right? Because it's not like I was paying him or anything like that, and like he was just, and this is what kind of Felix was saying, right? Like Barry was kind of curious about me as another human and what made me tick, and again just kind of reinforce the like, oh hell, I've got to be in my own movie. So okay, first time director, maybe I could sing in it too, so I could do the John Carpenter thing. John Carpenter presents this drag, you know. So you know, I was like, oh my god, am I that guy? I don't think I'm that guy, but
No, you were recognizing what the audience would need. Yeah, you were paying attention to the story and realizing no, that you're part of the story. And I Barry really grew to care about you as a person.
yeah,
And I also think I don't think it was I'm just pretending that I know who Barry is. But I think it comes through in the film that it isn't that he's flattered that you care about this bomb he did that may have actually kind of had a negative effect on his career.
100%. Yeah,
Like, I don't think he got to be the lead of a major motion picture with a big budget. He became more of a character actor after this, and if it had been the opposite, he might have been Harry Ford, right?
yeah, exactly.
But I think he sincerely appreciated your love of the work.
Yeah,
And that, you know, and he's like, look, I mean, because the expression on his face when he's like, I didn't even remember this film that well. And it's one of the most emotional things it's among the many emotional things in the film, when at the end where he's like, right before the fun ending, he's like, I really look at it. I love this film now too.
yeah,
Like you taught him to love that work.
yeah.
Which I'm sure was a huge service for Barry Bostwick in his life. Like, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Well, and you know, like especially him, right? Like obviously that's a big moment in the film where, you know, it's kind of Barry unplugged at the end, right? And you get, at least what I was trying to show is you just have so much more of an appreciation for him as a human being, and knowing what the story needed, right? Like even though it was a documentary and stuff, like he still had this kind of like next level, like he knew what the scene needed, kind of like cleverness, like whether he was, you know, like I'll take credit for a couple of times where I was able to kind of maneuver him into something, you know, and then other times he would maneuver me into something. And of course we are so close, like, you know, it just clicked, but it was really important and really risky because Barry wasn't quite sure, right? Because we're like, he still wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to finish it while we were shooting this stuff, right? And so, yeah, he was a little nervous about, you know, doing kind of a Barry unplugged thing. And I literally was like, I had my two best friends who were on the shoot. I was like, you know me best, go interview Barry. I'll be back in 3 hours. So I didn't even know what.
Right, you gave him free reign to speak without you present.
Yeah, and not show off to me and not do our thing, right? Because that's, you know, again, we really were, like, I was very fearful all along that it was going to be, you know, as as entertaining as In Love with Barry and seeing us screw around together, right? It could have just been Bob and Barry screw off for 90 minutes and there's no, right? Like that's, it would have been entertaining, but not memorable and not, right? Like I wanted to try to make like capital F film out of all this ridiculous thing and the pieces that I could, you know, hang together.
And the gods of cinema made it all work. I mean, really, because
Yeah.
in a way, Act Two is where Barry's instincts, right? In Act Two, he'll throw these playful barbs at you when he senses he needs to just look at this director slash fan and go, "You're not well, are you?" but like he throws stuff like that in when he knew that a little levity was needed.
Yes.
But then for Act Three, it was time for the emotional truth, and he delivered it too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Really. Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys, and then you all together as a community made a film that is better than the material that inspired it.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think I'm the only person who would say that.
No. Well, yeah. Like some reviewer said, I was able, like, my mantra through this entire thing was sloppy but honest, right? Like I had to keep kind of apologizing to Felix. I was like, you've got 2 hours of footage here, but there's honesty in there that's important, and we need to find those parts through kind of my sloppiness of just sloppy but honest, and that I don't know, that worked out for me on this one for sure. As far as
honestly, I don't think it's sloppy anymore.
Well, no,
I think it's just honest. It's honest,
yeah.
and well crafted.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I forgot what my point was about what that person.
Well, it was probably just you were talking about, like, sharing what you brought Felix.
Yeah,
and maybe he was clearly, as editor, Felix was a big part of the craft.
No, he was easily half, in some ways more than that, for sure. Oh, that was what I was going to say. Like on the poster, the documentary that nobody asked for, right? Like that was the sloppy but honest, right? Because like something like American Movie, which I really enjoyed that documentary. There's lots of movies where I'm not going to say it's easy, but right, there's a bunch of movies where you can look at an interesting person on screen and I don't know if you're laughing at them or you're getting enjoyment through their struggles in a way. I'm not that guy, and so, like, trying to figure out, with all the kind of crazy shit that I do, like, right, like Megaforce is right. Like, I know what Megaforce is, right, and I think that was the big difference and the big challenge in this movie, from it being like, oh my God, you have to see the psychotic fan go after this movie, which would be kind of more of a spectacle, right? Like, I mean, I know what Megaforce is, but if you talk to fucking 12-year-old Bob, like, them's fighting words. It was the best fucking movie he had ever seen, right? Like, mind-blowing. It wasn't cheesy. It was like, there's a scene in the original film where you, like, near the third act, where you realize the good guy and the bad guy are best friends, right? And like, I thought that was like just the most maverick, like, right, oh my God, it's like Rollo Tomasi level, like, brilliance in that scene, and and once you feel that way, you're done, right? You love it forever. And again, that's the power of movies, and
Yeah,
again,
well, and saying that the 12-year-old you, I mean, we were that age. The A Team seemed like quality entertainment,
oh my God, yeah,
and the A
totally.
Team was really born from this, right? Or there
It
was an
was, yeah,
association. Like the A Team was the TV version of
yeah,
Megaforce.
yeah. The original Megaforce was marketed as a TV series. Like I've got the entire
Yeah.
script for the entire series.
And I did not miss one motherfucking episode of the A
Yeah,
Team when I
yeah.
was in 8th grade and ninth
Yeah,
grade.
I mean, I think most of the plots in this pilot treatment that I have for the Megaforce series, like so many things, like a lot of the concept art for the original vehicles in Megaforce became actual GI Joe toys 5 years later, right? And of course, GI Joe was huge, and everybody says, "Well, Megaforce is the best GI Joe movie," right? But but it was before, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it was, you know,
I guess it was just a little too early that, sometimes the timing's off.
it was too early or too late, right? Like the concept was too early and the execution was too late because Hal Needham was still making 70s movies and the zeitgeist of cinema had moved on, right? Like if this was a 1978 movie where, like it's way more Star Wars than Empire Strikes Back, and Megaforce came out in the Empire Strikes Back era, right? You cannot come out at the same summer as Blade Runner and The Road Warrior with a movie like Megaforce and expect it to do, right? The Cannonball Run days were gone by that point.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, the films that came out that year.
Yeah, they're amazing, and I mean, Hal Needham was fighting against that, right? Like good guys always win, even in the '80s. Like that was his line in the sand. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing Empire Strikes Back. I'm not doing Road Warrior. I'm not doing Good Guys Wear Black. I believe in good guys, and it was his kind of definitive statement around that, which of course I resonate with to this day, right?
And
He said what he
should
said what he meant, and
definitely.
he meant what he said, and he executed on it, right? Period. And anybody who can do that, I'm a fan of.
Yeah, but to get back to you, now that grown Bob made the film and but I also think that it's your perspective and probably your history of working on props and working on animation with your professional history. I think that probably helped you see it more objectively, maybe. But let's just say I may have listened to some people talk about the film who are actually really diehard, still love making Megaforce people.
Right.
And I'm not even sure they get how great your film is. Because to them, they just love that it's about Megaforce. And for me, and I guess I'm just being self-centered now, but I just think that your film is the perfect example of something I say all the time to filmmakers now, which is when you make something so specific and truthful, that makes it universal. Like we had a film in the same festival you were in, Filmvation LA, in June of this year, and this Filipino filmmaker made a short film about his Filipino grandfather, and he taught all his grandkids art and helped them get ready for spelling bees, and it climaxed with a spelling bee, and he'd passed away, and you watched this film and it was just the most specific, true grandfather character you've seen in years on TV. And because it was so specific, it's universal. Everyone sees their grandfather there because it's a true grandfather. Whereas when you have a Hollywood movie with a generic grandfather character, there's no emotional connection because it's just generic.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it really is the specificity. I think your film might be the ultimate cinephile documentary, but not but meaning love of cinema, love movie lovers film.
I hope so.
Because it's a film about loving, because I love film, you love Megaforce. So you made a film about Megaforce that your love of that film communicated to me because it was so specific. It was universal. It's just so universal. You know, my wife, who doesn't even like Star Wars movies, loved it. You know what I mean? Like,
She doesn't like Star Wars, and you're still with her.
I
guess that's another
she
podcast.
likes it okay. She has really great qualities otherwise, but
yeah, thank you so much for saying that. Like, right, like it's again, like, yeah, my first time, like that's what I was trying to do. So the fact that anybody picked up on that stuff is so nice. It makes me feel like,
well,
maybe I'm
I'm just lucky. I am aware that I have a very fortunate spot in Bob Lindenmeyer's life, and that coincidentally, just by luck of the draw, Film Invasion LA was the first festival to accept making Megaforce and to screen the world premiere.
Yeah.
And like, you know, if Film Invasion LA was in September, that wouldn't have worked out. That it would have been someone else would have been first. So I got to be like your first, and I got to be a really good date.
Yeah, no, for sure. No,
but I'm just lucky that I got to become one of the earliest fans of the film.
I'm the lucky one, right? Like I only have this one film to care about, and you have to care about so many at the same time, and then almost pit them against each other, which has got to be really challenging sometimes, you know. So
I get really I have a hard time when I'm looking at the spreadsheet of who's getting what awards, and like just a beautiful film that I love so much is like in second or third place like 5-6 times. But that's why our film festivals have what's called the Programmer's Prize. I just get to, any film I love that the jury doesn't give an award to, I can just give them my own award, and then I don't have to cheat on the other. I don't have to put my finger on the scale.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and I think that's right, because like obviously, you know, yeah, you guys do give a shit, right? It's on the T-shirt, so
it is on the T-shirt that we give a shit.
And yeah. I mean, my film, yeah. Again, yeah. I don't know, man. Thanks. I'm overwhelmed by that reflection on my film. So
yeah, no, and it's wonderful, and I guess it's funny. Normally, I do a better job as a podcaster early on to let people know. First of all, your film is still having a wonderful run on the festival circuit, and so they can't watch it yet. They can see a trailer, I bet, if they go.
They can, all paths making Megaforce lead back to me personally, since it's just me and Felix. So.
you're still one close to one man.
I literally just I put Felix's email on the info at Making Megaforce just because he needs to help me keep track of all these film festivals and stuff. But yeah, it is you know what I'm really looking forward to is hopefully I'll get an opportunity to put out like a DVD or a director's commentary, because as far as like being film nerds and like manufacturing things, right? Like, I guess I'm kind of neurospicy that way. Like everything, like down to the T-shirt I'm wearing in each scene is because of another scene, right? Like all the way through, like, you know, I'm wearing an Evel Knievel shirt because Gary Davis the stunt man used to stunt double for Evel Knievel, and obviously there's Star Wars references in there. And then there's a shirt, which is the hotel that the entire cast and crew stayed at in Las Vegas. Right. So like I just want to tell everybody like how nerdy I am about this. It's like, oh, this line, you know, when I say, you know, TACCOM, see you another day, right? Like that's a quote from the fucking original movie, right? Like there's so many things like that. And I'm hoping a director's commentary will be like, I can just kind of show off how clever I thought I was. Maybe somebody will appreciate it. Right?
I'm sure. I'm sure they will. This is a film, you know, and I'm sure the any kind of extras will be insane, because I'm sure you have tens, 20s, 100 hours of
Yeah.
interesting stuff that just didn't belong in the finished film. Actually, I'm aware that the version I saw as a festival screener is actually not the version you're screening in theaters now at festivals because you all did a slightly tighter edit.
Yeah, just
And
a
it's funny
little
because my
thing.
wife and I came home from your world premiere and she said, "Yeah, remember how that scene got cut out?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was a great scene, but they were right to get, all your decisions were the right decisions." But as fans of the longer I can tell you, for me, I expect a longer version someday. I guess that's what I'm saying. Or
No.
you should feel free to, if there is no way to do it, you can just create a freaking YouTube channel and start putting unaired
Yeah.
footage on it
Yeah,
because
no, I've got
people
7
will
years
watch
of
it.
adventures for sure. Yeah. Did your did that original cut have when I actually got when I rescued the dune buggy from the Army Navy surplus store on 101 in Newport? Uh, the guy who's had it in front of his store the entire time, and the high school kids stole it and put it on the roof of the school. I actually bought that car that day from him, and we had a 20-minute sequence of me and Calvin because it didn't roll. The wheels didn't roll. It had been rusted solid. So there's this whole, right, again, just it's more dune buggy porn, right? Like that's what Felix and Barry were saying. It's just like, God, there's like too many dune buggies in it, and right, because I've got 4, and it was important to me initially to make that distinction, and and Barry and Felix were like, it's just like everybody else is just seeing a dune buggy, so it doesn't matter. It's like, oh well, this is stunt buggy, and this is the hero buggy, and this is the one So again, like whittling that stuff down was challenging for the super nerd because it's like you want to do fan service in a movie like this, right? This is Megaforce fans' only shot at getting anything about Megaforce, and at the same time, that's not enough. That wasn't enough for me to actually kind of call myself a filmmaker, right? Like I can do DVD special features all day long on that shit, but
No, I
I
mean
want to make a
honestly,
movie.
there's a version of this film um, that if someone else had made it, or if you hadn't, and actually I don't even know how when Felix came in, but there's a version of this that's only watchable by fans of Megaforce, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you very specifically made something universal. I mean, much more universal than if it had just been, about the lore of Megaforce only.
Yeah. Yeah. Like super limiting. And yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
didn't appear in it, and,
Right.
and we lost the Barry Bob relationship,
Yeah.
it really would have been like, oh, maybe I should check out this movie. I don't know, like
Right.
you
You
know what I
watch it
mean?
during your lunch break or whatever. Yeah. Like, I mean, the original impet, like again, when I was playing with the coffee table book idea and stuff like that, like one day I was just so fucking furious, like page after page of Google of people who weren't even alive then making fun of this movie, right? Because it was an easy mark, and I was just like, all right, I'm done with this. Like, uh, and not that any of them are necessarily wrong, and some of them are insanely hilarious dissections. And again, they're not wrong, but there is another side to it, right? Like I think, and I think it can be both, right? And my film doesn't take away or make you feel bad about maybe picking on Megaforce, right? In some ways, it's like, did you ever see the Book of Mormon, the play?
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, and again, those guys are huge Megaforce fans. If I can get a hold of them someday, they'll really be excited to see my movie. But like that was the first time I saw, right? Like I didn't know what to expect in that, but it was this idea of the directors, the creators actually giving the audience a teaching moment by setting it up to where, maybe they were laughing at these folks, and then so cleverly and so honestly, like flipping it to all of a sudden now you're cheering for you realize they're humans and they're just moving through the world and they're doing their best. And like, I think, I'm sure somebody's articulated it better than me, but that was the core of that story for me. And not like my film is like, that play, but like that was always in my mind, right? Like that, yes, it's okay to make fun of Megaforce, but that's not it, right? Like these guys made something and they're all amazing. And, yeah, I don't know.
I think hopefully this will help. So I think what I'm hearing is that an awareness that you can lovingly tease something and that really does actually show your respect for it.
Oh, see, you said it in like a quarter of the time I did. We should have rehearsed this.
Yes, that's it. The second time we do something is always better. Yeah. No, I mean, but amusingly, I used to be married to someone who was Mormon, and so I have a lot of Mormon ex-in-laws who I'm so close to, and I always try to explain actually the Book of Mormon is not making fun. It actually shows respect. Like Matt and Trey grew up and respected the Mormons that they grew up with.
Yeah.
And it really isn't meant to be criticism. Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. Like halfway through seeing the play, I like at intermission, I was like, I'm feeling yucky. Like, I don't know if I want to watch the end of this because I'm not one of these people who enjoy laughing at people for sport in this way. Like I was feeling really uncomfortable. And then, the second act, it was just like, oh my God, these guys are mavericks at telling stories, right? Like, I mean, even South Park, which is just kind of a hyperbolic version of that, at least the first couple years, that were really strong. But yeah, I'm going off again. You should cut me off because I'm
fair enough. Well, I do hope they see it someday. Amusingly, I once 20, 25 years ago, I had friends who were cool. Not me, but I had friends who were cool. And we were at some party in LA and someone said, there's a party at Trey Parker's house. This is the address. No. And we crashed it.
No way.
And I had two important moments at this party I need to share with you. Everyone can just listen to us share with each other. So I'm standing there like a geek who's not comfortable at parties with my back against the wall in the living room. And there's very attractive women dancing in the living room. And the lights are going on and off. And I look over to my left and there's Trey flicking the light switch on the wall on and off to make a disco ball for these girls. And he looked at me and he smiled and laughed at what he was doing.
That's amazing.
And then I walked to the restroom and I go down this hallway and I look to my left and there's clearly what is Trey's home office. And there's a Boba Fett cutout,
nice.
a standee, I know the one. And a Miller's Crossing, the third Coen Brothers movie poster on the wall. And I'm like, if I got to know this guy, we've got all the same interests.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, no, I've got a life-size Boba Fett like right behind this camera here. So, yeah. If anybody out there knows those guys,
sadly I don't. I didn't. To this day, who knows? I should have said to him, I saw the Miller's Crossing poster, man. That's my number one. That's my number one. Yeah. And he would have, and then who knows? Maybe we would have been friends. But I'm not when you grow up in LA, you're not supposed to talk to famous people. You're supposed to treat them like they're normal.
Right.
Just treat them like another guy at the party.
All right.
But that's my.
I've never been to a party like that. So that's.
It's one of the fringe benefits of living in LA and having a lady friend who is, the kind of attractive person that gets into parties.
Yeah,
I definitely couldn't have pulled it off. Jeff couldn't pull that shit off.
That's a smart play, man. Smart play. That's good.
So you're still doing the festival circuit with the film, and my understanding is you're still talking about its life after the festival circuit, its life, possible distribution and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Like we're kind of getting. Again, this is our first time at bat, so I don't know if this is realistic or not. We're kind of getting impatient in some ways for the next level, and the film works best in theaters. So the goal is doing an art house or calendar house theater run and really like a band, right? Like take it around to anyone who will show it, and see if it sticks to the wall that way. We hooked up with these two film rep guys who are really amazing. The company's called Blood, Sweat, and Honey, and they came to us maybe through hearing through your festival. I don't know where they came out of the woodwork, but they felt similarly to you about the film, and they were just like, again, we just want to help you, just like, you helped us, so that's only been a couple months, so they're shaking the trees, and hopefully I want to just keep showing it in theaters until, I don't know, then something else happens after that, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, not to. By the way, I agree with you about theaters, but I would disagree with you if you said, and you didn't say it, that it won't have an amazing life on streaming, because I feel like making Megaforce is the kind of because it's supremely entertaining and it's just a great watch. It's just a great watch. It is, if I could tell friends to sit down and watch streaming service X, watch this film, I feel like so many people are going to tell their friends to watch it. It will move up in the algorithms will notice, and it will start to move up, and it will be the kind of thing that, like, you log into a service, and when it's like, there'll be a thing on whatever streaming platform that says docs you'll love, and Making Megaforce will be one of the first two. You know what I mean? Right, I could see you ending up with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of views. Yeah, once you're on streaming.
Yeah, no, I hope you're right, and like there's a part of me that, again, I think it's because of my generation, maybe. I could, like, if I'm going to be a film director, at least of one, I want my film in theaters, right? Like I want to try to do that as much as I wanted to try to get Barry on a flying motorcycle again, right? Like that's part of kind of my journey, where, what has happened at every showing of the movie, right, is community and shared joy and shared enthusiasm and surprise, like all this good stuff, right? All the good stuff. And obviously streaming's not going away, and it is the viable option for, maybe, getting paid back for some of what I did, or I'm currently feeling like it's always going to be there, and maybe that's wrong, and we can chat about that. Maybe not online, but as far as, like, if this is my only turn at bat, like I don't want to skip.
Yeah, you don't want to rule out theatrical.
Yeah, and
Theatrical is important, and you're right. It will streaming will be there. I just wanted to say that like
yeah,
it will end up. I mean, just like our look, our generation. I mentioned that Miller's Crossing is one of my favorite films of all time.
yeah,
I saw it once in the theaters and 79 times on VHS. You know,
you're exactly
like
right. You're
home
exactly right.
video is what really locks in a fan base, right?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense, and that's kind of the alchemy out there that I think all independent filmmakers are struggling, right? Because there is no secret sauce, and you get one person say, well, if you put it on streaming, then nobody's going to go to the theaters, and then you have theaters saying the opposite, and yeah, that's all really confusing and overwhelming, right? Like, when it's your own film, the stakes feel so high around like doing these stretches and what's right or not, because right, it's you care about it and you want people to see it, and so you don't want to fuck that up by making a deal with somebody who locks it in to some obscure streaming service for 8 years, and you don't get to do anything with your film. Like I honestly, again, I'm just hitting it sloppy but honest, and the theater thing is the best experience for a film like this, and so like I'm really focusing on that until until somebody tells me different. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of all the crazy ass mother, we're allowed to curse, of all the motherfucking shit in the world I mean, the world has changed a lot since 1982, but
Yeah.
right now we sit in a world where the distribution channels for a feature length movie have never been less clear. Like,
Yeah.
in spite of all the technology that we've got, no one really knows
I know. It's
what to do with
amazing.
any movie, let alone an indie, right? Like they just
Like I heard
we rip the
Spielberg
system apart.
there was an interview with Spielberg, and he's like, I can't get my movies made if I have a script, right? So it is, I think things are moving so fast and are kind of oddly circular. Everybody's hoping for, kind of the indie music thing to happen to, indie film, and unfortunately the structure around showing a film is just not as easy as throwing a song up on your own website. And again, the stakes are lower, right? You can listen to a 2-minute song versus
Well,
a
and
2-hour
you can
movie.
get everyone listening to your song so that they'll come buy a ticket when you come to their town and watch you play it live. But you can't throw making Megaforce on an AVOD platform and get 7 cents per view if for people have to sit through ads, and then okay, now we've built up a fan base. Now we can go on the road and they'll pay $75 each to come see us play it. Like, yeah, it doesn't work in reverse for film, so
Yeah.
it really is a confusing time. But
Yeah.
I gotta be an optimist when a film is really great. It I think it gets there's always a chance that audiences will find it. There just is, because people are craving good stuff. And I mean, what is the number one conversation we all have nowadays? And I can tell you, I happen to play a shit ton of tennis. So, what do people talk about we don't talk about tennis when we're done playing tennis. People go, what have you watched that's good?
Good.
Like
Right. Yeah.
everyone is looking for a recommendation of
Yeah.
what to watch next, because you finish streaming something, every time my wife and I finish watching a show, it's like I open up the list on my phone of all the stuff that people
Right.
recommended to
There's
me.
this anxiety. Are we going to like this one as much as we like the last one? Because it felt like home for those 3 weeks we were watching it,
Yeah,
and
exactly. In fact, I am patiently waiting for the last the the last episode of the latest season of Slow Horses to come out, so we can hit that because that's one of our favorite. But you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
there's no way that making Megaforce wouldn't be like one of those. Even though it's not a water cooler moment anymore, it would be like a water cooler thing where everyone's like, "Here's something you should watch next. Here's something you should watch next." You
I
know?
hope so. Yeah. Well, and yeah.
Because people
That's
crave quality, and there's not enough good stuff. There just isn't.
Well, and I think, a lot of folks, right? Probably 300 people have seen my film by today. Everybody's like, because it's a feel good movie, right? And as kind of a salve for, kind of moving around the world today, because it's challenging, and of course what cinema does great is it kind of reflects the times, and and if the times are challenging, then there's a lot of challenging films out, and while that's very important, right, like that's what Star Wars did, right? Like it was French Connection, fire hose, literally until the day Star Wars came out. Right. And it just added a much needed break to, that stuff. And it's pretty neat because that's what Hal Needham was trying to do with Megaforce. So obviously I was trying to do that with my film, and just where my film ended up launching, it makes people just like, thank God that was nice. I just needed an hour and a half of it, right? Like now I can make it through another day or whatever. And like total strangers and not Megaforce people have reflected that back to me, and like, fuck, man, I don't know. That's what I wanted to fucking do. And like I did it for a couple people. Like,
You
that's
did it.
so cool. It's so cool.
You really did. You really did. It is absolutely. And you know what? That is part of the appeal of the film, by the way. It's, is that in the film, people decide that this guy, Bob Lindenmayer, is or would be my friend, and I just watched him pull it off and have the best day of his life with Barry Bostwick at the end. I don't think that's a spoiler. I think people could still enjoy the film, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, it's a local boy makes good story.
It really is.
And that was the hope. And again, filming it, like I didn't know that going in, right? Like it could have been, we would have filmed the worst disaster ever also, which would have made it a different film, and probably equally as entertaining, hopefully. But the fact, right, like I couldn't, like I'm right there with the fans, like I see it now. And it's just like, wow, like one guy, it's not even me, right? It's just like, fuck, the guy fucking did it. Like I'm not, it's just,
yeah.
It's just fucking
and actually,
nice.
in the ending, you bring in all these old long-term friends to help you pull off the ending too, and
Yeah,
it shows that it shows people coming together for a common purpose. I mean, this is, which is technically what Megaforce did. Right, trying to tie it into Megaforce. And I haven't even talked about the costuming in Megaforce, and the fact that I know I know a lot of facts about Barry Bostwick's anatomy from watching the film.
Yeah, they got those outfits as a deal from a sci-fi film that it's still, like, I've gotten contradictory facts. I don't know if the film came out or the film got canceled, that all these suits came from. But there's some evidence that there were costumes originally made for that Ben Affleck movie where they make the fake movie to get the hostages. out of Iran.
Oh, Argo?
Argo. Andre Morgan, the producer, like thought that that's where they got those from. Wouldn't that be weird?
And I can't figure it out. Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who knows?
excellent. All right. Well, I feel like we've hit a nice point.
Good.
But I have a important question. So you did direct this film, and you have had the heart of a filmmaker since you were. In fact, I didn't even ask when you were drawing all the time as a kid. Like, were you also like sort of doing like your own comic books and stuff and doing storytelling with it? But you clearly were a storyteller. So, I mean, has this just also lit a fire under you that when you finally get Megaforce, when you finally give birth to it into the world and it's off the festival circuit, and it's actually, you don't have to make decisions anymore, and it's been released at some level, like, are you like, I have to make another movie? Or want to, I should say?
No, I really want to, the reality of it is, like this movie has to do enough to where, even if it's just opening up another door for me, in order for me to afford another turn at bat.
Right. In other words, this one's either got to help budget the next one and or get you hired for the next one.
I think so, right? Like, I mean, I've got three or four like treatments that I think are pretty neat. One of which, of course, is the actual sequel to Megaforce. Yeah, if I were to do another, again, like here's the thing, and we could talk more about this after, right? Like it's such a slippery slope, right? Like I'm looking at all these film festivals and it's like, fuck, if I make a horror movie, I'm in. And I can make a good horror movie. So then it's like, okay, well, because I do have a cool monster movie idea. And it's just like that's not how you should pick your next project, right?
It's not, but I'm sure the blood, sweat, and honey guys would tell you to make a horror film.
Yeah, right. So it's like, okay, like what? I don't have anything currently that I have to make, like I had to make making Megaforce, right? I have a lot, like other than like a full, not documentary, right? Like a full scripted film where I could really curate the story. Again, because right, like I did, yeah, I didn't get to try everything I wanted to try creatively, and this is the format to try those things in. So, yeah, I want to keep playing in the sandbox if life works out that way, right? Like I got enough out of it to where, yeah, like I'm still warming to the idea of calling myself like a director. It seems like so ridiculous to me, right? I directed a film, right? And in that cocktail lounge environment, like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a filmmaker. And it feels like I'm not owning that part yet, if that makes.
I understand that, but that's a good chunk of humility meets something else. I don't know what, but I mean that's humility, and maybe even just being realistic, not realistic, but being like, hey, look, I made a kick-ass documentary.
Yeah,
and you devoted 6 years of your life to it, and you deserve all the accolades that come with that.
Yeah.
But as far as relabeling one's identity, I'm not sure that one movie can change. I mean, honestly, I will
continue to make cool things as long as I can afford.
Right. I mean, I started this podcast 8.5 years ago, and I'm not sure I feel like a podcaster.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Identity is weird, and people with a natural, healthy sense of humility tend to not walk around labeling themselves as I am now a this.
Yeah.
Whereas assholes move to L.A. and print a business card that says John Smith, comma director, and they
Yeah.
start telling people I'm a filmmaker in bars, and you're like, oh, what have you done? Well, I was told in my 20s the correct answer is I have several projects at various levels of development.
Development. Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm
and
meeting a lot of great folks who, like, I will say this, and this was just within the last week. Um, at this little film festival I went to, and I was brave enough to actually be a little social, which was like I felt like I had permission to maybe start thinking about it's okay to make another film or so, you know what I mean? Like it's such a fantasy, you get the normies out there saying, well, when are you going to get a real job kind of thing, which I've had my whole life. And so, yeah, like I'm starting to give myself permission to, even contemplate like what's next for Bob in the world. So yeah, I appreciate the question. I wish I had a better, more exciting answer, but
but the answer was yes.
sloppy but honest, right?
Sloppy but honest. Yeah, I of course I want to make more films. I'm just a humble guy who's not going to say, fuck yes, I am. In fact, I'm going to make 3 more before the decade's out. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just not you.
You know what I'd love to do is
And you don't need to be that guy.
I'd love to do a series with Barry, where we fuck around. Did you ever see the short-lived series I'm with Busey?
I didn't see it, but I heard of it.
It's just watch one episode, you'll get it. It's basically the straight guy, following the whims of Gary Busey, and it is hilarious and super crazy. But in making Barry interview the people I made him interview and stuff like that, like me and Barry going around like interviewing people, I don't know what that would be, but I think it would be entertaining, right? Like, the thing that I know I could get made, and I'd have a good opportunity is, and we're tinkering with it. It's kind of like like below the line, right? Because like I love interviewing, the editors, the stunt people, the PAs, right? All these things. And so to lead Barry around as the movie star with his personality being kind of above that line and really force him to endure what it takes to actually make a movie with me curating that adventure. So you give, episode 3 gaffers, and you give these fucking people like just a little bit of spotlight to tell their stories because they're fucking awesome. Like, awesome human stories, right? Like from the guys, like in Megaforce, like half the guys I interviewed, it was their first fucking job ever, and it changed their lives, right? Like, what? Megaforce changed your life? Like whatever it is, there's a human story there, and of course, the making of film I'm so fascinated with that I think, obviously I'm getting excited talking about it. So maybe that's what I should do next. I don't know, but
maybe. I'll throw this at you just because I heard it, I think this week on a podcast. I heard somebody predict that, of course, right. We live in the era now where television shows are too expensive. But like they're canceling Colbert because you just can't have a staff that huge and a studio that huge. But then, stand-up comics who have 2 video cameras and do a half hour chat 3 times a week, like get 1 million views now. And
Yeah.
and this person predicted that you will actually, Netflix just bought Spotify, I believe, to get all those podcasts, and they're just going to start having talk shows that are podcasts. So you could actually just do the Barry and Bob show podcast with on Zoom, and I think people would be able to watch you guys interview people together, and sometimes not have a guest, but have guests. And I actually think the Barry and Bob podcast would be a very low budget, successful TV series, because that's the funny thing. We're using Zoom now, so I can see you, but for the last year, people keep saying, "Are you going to start video recording your podcast?" And I'm like, it's for audio only. Like, I can't wrap my head around the idea of dealing with video, but that's the future. That's a talk show. I grew up on Letterman.
Right, 100%.
And the Letterman, the Letterman of today is actually going to be a video podcaster who there really is no difference between that person and a talk show host now, because it's a video.
No, it's so strange, right? Like, I'm a big Katie Sackhoff fan, and apparently she has a podcast. Like, there's is it that Sarah Silverman thing where it's like everybody has a podcast now or whatever. But at the same time, it's because it is, if done right, it's a lot more authentic than these kind of manufactured things. And I wonder if that's why people are responding.
And the barrier for entry is low, which means you get a lot of creativity and things break through.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For sure.
I'll run it by the commander, see what he has to say. Because it's either that or me and my son argue about cars, which would also be very entertaining podcast.
You could have your son on all the time.
Yeah, the strong silent one in the movie.
My daughter's been on this podcast twice.
Nice.
I think once when she was 7. No, she was probably 10.
Aww.
And she just wanted to do her top. She answered the 4 questions that we're about to do for you. And then, what a segue. And then she did that like on a stay home from school day. And she just said to me, "I want to do your podcast." So I think she's like episode 14 or 20. I don't know. I should have looked.
I'm gonna check that out.
But and then I think this summer or last summer she decided she wanted to do it again. So like I have the 10-year-old and the 16-year-old doing her favorite films.
Nice.
Well, it's cute.
No, that's super cool. Well, I mean, that's how I have that footage for my movie, right? Because my kids were clowning around back in the old days with the camera on. So you never know.
No, honestly, I mean, I don't know if everyone would share this sentiment. Maybe I am biased as a parent. Because again, we're the same age, and we just became empty nesters. She left for college 3 weeks ago. Like, how can I not keep repeating these words?
Yeah.
But she actually did. Right. She did this podcast at age 10 and age 17.
Oh.
And it's episode 13 and episode 450.
Damn.
7 years later.
That's a time capsule, man.
Yeah.
Good
anyway.
Stuff.
All right. I'll wrap us up so that we can stop recording and then record again to have you answer those 4 questions. And as long as I've teased it twice now, this means that Bob, who has been a lifelong fan of movies, is going to name 3 films, 3 favorites, an underrated film, an overrated film, and a lesser-known film for people to seek out. So there we go. That'll be the podcast after this one. But just go to the show notes, and there will be links to everything Bob Lindenmayer related and or Making Megaforce related. Any links, send me an email with any links you want in the show notes of this podcast, and we'll put them in.
Thanks.
And thank you for doing this. It's always, what can I say? It's been a pleasure. It's been
it's always great hanging out with you.
One of the who knew when I got involved in film festivals in 2016 that like it wouldn't just be that I don't know why I've said this to a couple of people. I don't know why, but for some reason, filmmakers are really cool. They're really nice now. Mind you, when I was on the film festival circuit in the 90s, everyone was an asshole.
Wow.
I went to a film festival, and it was because Clerks and Brothers McMullen had been recently successful. So now the film festival scene was rich kids who could afford to make a $50,000 feature, assuming they were the next Kevin Smith.
Yep, I remember.
And every festival I went to, everyone was you'd meet people, you'd be like, oh wow, well that sounds good. You'd go see their film and it was a piece of shit, and they were an asshole who thought they were going to be huge. And it was all sharp elbows and like, no, you're not going to make it, I'm going to make it.
Yes.
And the wonderful thing is now, maybe because of the state of the industry, everyone at the festivals they just care about the work now.
Yeah.
And it's really a lovely community that I get to meet another crop of lovely people every 6 months. I'm very lucky.
Super lucky. It's
and
amazing.
I count you among those lovely people I got to meet.
Right back at you.
All right, so this is the Discover Indie Film podcast. So check the show notes for links to Bob's stuff. There'll also be links to all the stuff I'm involved in, including go to discoverindiefilm.com to learn more about this podcast. On social media, it's always at DIFWins. And I quit social media myself. So my lovely podcast producer, Karina, checks the... If you send a message to at DIFWins on any of those social media platforms, you're not going to get me because I found out I'm happier if I don't doom scroll. Who knew? But... that's just, and it's discoverindiefilm.com is the website. If you go to discoverindiefilm.org, that is the nonprofit that runs 2 film festivals in the LA area. They're both ranked in Film Freeway's top 100 best reviewed list. So we've got 2 of the top 100 out of 14,000 festivals in the world. So we're proud. So if you go to discoverindiefilm.org, that's the nonprofit. From that one, you can link to Sherman Oaks Film Festival that we hold every December, or Film Invasion LA that we hold every June. Film Invasion LA. Thankfully, I love the way this shit works. We will forever be the festival that did the world premiere of making Megaforce. Even if you get into Sundance can't claim they launched you. We did.
That's right.
Woohoo! And so that's Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles. And those 2 sister festivals get a cousin next year, January 16th and 17th, 2026. Film Invasion Lima in Lima, Peru will be happening. And excited about that. So I'm going to thank Bob. I'm going to thank you, Bob, one more time.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.